At this point of the season, it is safe to say that the Toronto Blue Jays have reached an all-time new low. The Blue Jays at the beginning of the season had a projected playoff percentage right around 50%. However, now, after almost 2 months of poor performances and a sub-500 record, that's down to 14%. There is still a lot of baseball to play, but the Blue Jays have entered crisis mode, and John Schneider is really starting to feel the heat. What's up, folks, and welcome back to the channel. In this one, we're going to be talking about John Schneider and how his time with the Toronto Blue Jays could be coming to an end very soon. Before we get into it, I encourage you guys to hit the like and smash the subscribe button if you enjoy Blue Jays content and discussion so you don't miss any future videos. Alright, folks, let's get into it. So this obviously isn't the first time John Schneider has been under fire by the Toronto Blue Jays fan base. Maybe the most notable example of Blue Jays fans calling for the firing of John Schneider was after that playoff loss where he pulled Jose Barrios from the game way too early. That was the first big time where Blue Jays fans really started to get the feeling that John Schneider wasn't right for the job, and that's carried over into this season. Across the board, the Toronto Blue Jays just aren't doing very well. The pitching that was an incredible strength for the Jays a season prior has completely fallen off of a cliff, and even though they aren't necessarily to blame for this season's outcome so far, they aren't really helping to solve the problem either. On the other hand, the offense hasn't been any better, and as we've seen time and time and time again, they are just incapable of coming up clutch in the big moments. Now, Schneider, whenever he's asked about the woes of the Toronto Blue Jays, typically gives the same answer, something about patience and trusting the process and feeling good about the players. But recently, that's changed. The other day, the Blue Jays suffered another disappointing loss to the Detroit Tigers, and John Schneider, when talking to the media, wasn't his usual nonchalant self. Schneider said, "It's got to turn, and it's got to turn quickly. The guys understand that, and the season gets shorter every single day. So yeah, it's frustrating, but it's not for a lack of effort. It's not for a lack of preparation. You just have to go out and execute." He then went on to say, "This is not me pointing fingers at the players. This is what they get paid to do. Our job is to get them ready. Their job is to go out and do it. The last couple days, we're just not getting the hits we need to." Now, I know that John Schneider started off that sentence by saying that he isn't going to point fingers at anyone, but then literally turned it around and started pointing the fingers at the players, saying that they're not doing their job well enough. And that is just not a good look. There's no denying that the players have not been performing at their best, but John Schneider is also part of the problem, and looking at recent MLB history, his time is running out.
Whoa, time for your daily Betway breather. A quick reminder that the best place to bet is on Betway. Must be 19 years of age or older to play. In collaboration with iGaming Ontario, please bet responsibly. Now, back to the content.
In my opinion, the 2024 Toronto Blue Jays have a lot of similarities to the 2022 Philadelphia Phillies. In that year, the Phillies were walking in with high expectations. They had a payroll right around $240 million, and everyone thought that the sky was the limit. They kicked off that season, though, in horrific fashion, starting with a record of 22-29. Everything looked awful, but then they decided to stop the bleeding. On Friday, June 3rd, the Phillies fired their manager, Joe Girardi, and then completely turned their season around, making it all the way to the World Series. Now, I'm not saying that firing John Schneider is magically going to turn the Toronto Blue Jays into a World Series caliber team, but I am saying that the Blue Jays are in a very similar position to where the Phillies were a couple years ago. With the ongoing disapproval from Toronto Blue Jays fans and the continued poor performance from the team, the time to move on from John Schneider is now. The leash is as short as it can be at this point, and I honestly wouldn't be surprised if one more series loss seals his fate. But folks, let me know what you think about all this in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, go Jays go!